Hey guys, welcome to season 5, episode 2 of FF Uncensored. See, I've been numbering them so we remember.
See, nice. I got a creepy person in the background.
Who's creeping?
That person. She's creepy.
We can't even see her. That's so funny. She tried to be in it. It needs to be on the other
She
side
had
of
to
you.
move the backdrop.
She can't make it.
Welcome everyone. Last week we talked about some fitness stuff, so this week we're going to talk about some nutrition stuff, and we'll get into that. But I've got a fun new recipe to share that I just played with over the weekend. So if you're not making pancakes on Sunday, like, are you even human? So let's talk about pancakes, right? So pancakes, most pancakes are pretty garbage, right? It's like about as refined flour as we can get, and yada yada yada.
I mean, pancake mixes. I think you could make pancakes from scratch and make them.
I mean, who's gonna? Let's not. No one's grinding. Like, no one's grinding the wheat kernels.
No, it's called a wheat berry. I was wondering where you were going to go with this.
I didn't know. They've never done it before. So
I have.
So no one is doing that. All right.
I actually have clients that are. I definitely have a client that does it.
And they are imaginary, and they only live in your head.
No.
But let's talk about how to make it better. So Kodiak is a brand that you can get pretty much anywhere. Pretty good. I mean, pretty solid. They add basically whey protein to their pancakes.
I'll also say that Trader Joe's has a brand that is their own brand.
Trader Joe's with it. Well, I guess people in your area listen to this as well. So.
Yeah, and also you still have to drive. It's in like New Orleans, and people drive there. The same as going to the cities. People go and they go to other grocery stores and they find stuff. The Trader Joe's brand is also top notch. I would actually even say I think they like it better than the Kodiak cake. The texture consistency is just better. It makes a better pancake. Okay.
All right. So Kodiak brand, they have, basically just like any pancake mix. So they add whey protein to it. So I think there's about 10 grams of protein per serving. So much better than like the 1 or 2 that you get with just normal flour. So that's cool, but we can make it better. So I don't know, I saw a post or something later. I was like, I'm going to try this. So what I did was I took a half cup of Kodiak mix. I took 3/4 cup Greek yogurt. We had, I think, like the Oikos brand, which is like pretty high in protein. I think it's like 20 to 24 grams per cup. So like a more protein heavy yogurt, less fat yogurt. And then we took a half cup of egg whites. So if you know anything about egg whites, they're pretty much just pure protein, right? But they're liquid, right? So I just took a half cup, put it all together, mixed it all up. I had to add a little bit of water, so you may have to play with some of these ratios. I added a little bit of water to get a better consistency. But it came out like legit. And the kids put syrup on theirs. I just put like frozen berries that I heated up. So just like frozen mixed berries on top. And it was good.
Yogurt on top of that is also a really great boost. Like yogurt and berries, that kind of stuff, because you can get extra protein in those too. So that's just one of my go-tos when I make pancakes.
So like it was like a really easy way to take what we call like a traditional food, right? Or like a food that everyone kind of enjoys, like pancakes. Like, cool. It's like a staple breakfast food, but make it a little less problematic, right? Because if we're just eating straight pancakes and syrup, it's like sugar on sugar. Like,
that's what's so crazy is that a lot of the breakfast foods that people like, traditional simple breakfast foods, are very carbohydrate dense and not super protein dense, and you'll all feel a lot better if you have a little bit more protein to start your day. But like pancakes and waffles and toast and all of that stuff, like not really a protein. There's not really protein in sight on those things. So like, how do you boost a breakfast that you actually really enjoy? And do that. And you can take what Trevor's recipe was and pour it into a waffle iron and make waffles too. Right. If you have waffle people and you're not pancake people.
Right. And it keeps really well too. So these had a little bit more, I would call it moisture to them, like because we have yogurt and those kind of things. And they have, just like, in all honesty, they had a little bit of tartness to them just because of like the yogurt, and that it didn't bother me at all. It didn't bother our kids because they just put enough syrup on anything to like make it taste good. So at least we're getting a lot more protein. So if we start to really like break down those numbers, right, we go from something that is majority carbohydrates to, I can probably run the math during this, to an acceptable amount of carbohydrates, a little bit of fat, and a lot of protein. Like, in the whole batch, we're probably dealing with like 20, 30, probably like 40 to 50 grams of protein for like, I think we had about a cup mix, which made like 4 pancakes or something like that. But,
You made more than 4 pancakes, right?
well, I mean, no, I don't know. Like, I mean, we make pretty big pancakes.
Okay.
But I think I had to make some like shapes. Like Asher asked me to make an emoji, so that was really challenging. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think taking traditional breakfast foods, and I think this can go for the same as eggs too, right? Like eggs, like in reality, eggs are not a dense protein source, right? One egg versus an ounce of meat, they're just not like they're not the same,
Well, I mean, one egg is also going to be 6 grams of protein and 6 grams of fat. So
right?
calorically, it's more fat than protein.
Right. And so how do we make eggs more protein dense, right? We can add things like egg whites to them, right? I could
Ooh, my
scramble
favorite.
my
You ready for
eggs.
my
Yes,
favorite?
go.
Add cottage cheese.
So cottage cheese, do you blend it then so that you don't get
No,
the chunkiness?
no.
Like it's okay, it
I
works
mean, you
out.
can. I just whoop, right
Right.
into the pan, and I like, or like I whisk it in, and then I make it. It's kind of like the same as everything else. And like eggs are solid, so you don't really. I don't
Yeah.
personally notice. That is one of my favorite go tos. Like cottage cheese, I have it. Um, Egg whites are great, but I don't think they have a lot of flavor. So to me, it's just like you're doling down the flavor of an egg.
They don't have any flavor. The whole goal is not flavor. The goal is just more protein, right?
I know, but like I eat for because I like to eat, like, and I want things to taste good. And like I feel like when I put egg whites in, I get a little crazy with the seasoning.
So yeah, there's two ways, right? That you can just have the same thing but make a slight tweak to it to just add more protein. Um, so, take your eggs, make scrambled eggs, add in some egg whites, add in some cottage cheese, and now you got a really nice mixture. And one thing that I noticed too is I felt better after I ate them when I'm talking about the pancakes,
Yeah,
just because it wasn't so like carb heavy, um, or not necessarily so carb heavy. Like it's not really. It's like a simple
it's a
carb,
more well balanced
right?
breakfast. Like,
Exactly.
so since we're on this breakfast trend, we've kind of given two ways to get protein at breakfast. What is your one of your other go to breakfast meals? Like maybe during the
A
week when
shake.
you're working. Okay,
Like, I mean, a
what
shake
is
hands
what?
down.
Why don't you talk about what's in your shake?
So mine's pretty simple. So I start with a ready to drink, ones that we have at the gym. So I start with the one that has like 30 grams of protein in it. I usually mix between chocolate and vanilla depending on what I'm trying to flavor that day, and then like 3 scoops of whey protein. I just use the Aneva stuff. 3 scoops of whey protein. I do a quarter cup of hemp seed. I do a quarter cup of chia seeds, and I'll either do frozen strawberries, but pretty much always a frozen banana. Um, and then, I put a scoop of collagen and creatine in it as well. So,
Okay. So not everyone is making a shake like Trevor, but the hard part is if you do a ready to drink shake or you make a protein shake. So for example, I used cashew milk today and the just ingredients mint chocolate mint protein. It's probably one of my favorites. That is going to be really low carb and it's not going to have a ton of fat in it. Just because that's how the protein powders are made. So you can add stuff to that. I personally didn't add any extra fat. I just eat a piece of fruit with it. So I just have a little bit more calories and I get some carbohydrates first thing in the morning. And I'm already having protein. So it's going to be pretty well balanced. But Trevor's adding all that stuff to a shake, but you don't have to make it that complicated. Like I'm not running a blender at my house at the time that I'm there. I don't have a blender in the gym because I don't have a place to hide it. Like I have a bathroom and I'm not going to put my blender in the bathroom. That kind of freaks me out. It's weird. It's weird. Stop making that face. It's weird. So I just do like I milk, and if you use like the Fairlife, you get extra protein. You can mix with water, and then I just add I add a piece of fruit to it: banana, apple, ready to go fruit if it's pre-cut. Like I have pre-cut mangoes in the fridge, so I just grab the container to eat the mangoes. Like I cut the mangoes; they weren't like pre-made. If you guys know where I can get pre-made, not frozen mango, that would be cool. Like pre-cut, so I don't have to cut it. Life of convenience. But those are some just easy ways, like same thing, just done a little bit differently.
right, you just don't have any prep. All mine goes into like one of those blender cups, and then I on the blender, and then I take the top off, rinse it off, and then put another top on and drink. And so it's pretty quick. I think we have like a Ninja brand of that. But super versatile. Like, I mean, you can add different flavors. If whether I add strawberries or bananas, it kind of like changes it up a little bit. Um, and like, I don't know. I think mine. I calculated it one time. It's like 70 to 80 grams of protein, like in that meal. So you can really titrate it. But honestly, if you're like on the go and don't even have time, a ready to drink and a protein bar, like let's say you take a David bar and a protein and like a RTD, like there's like 60 grams of protein, and like you it can go in your gym bag, right? So I think it's just getting creative in doing it. And one thing on this too, I was listening to I don't know what her credentials are, but essentially like a blood glucose expert, and she has some kind of interesting things. She was talking about like some of the big rocks for clients that they're working on with blood sugar. And one thing that she said is having a savory breakfast, and so goes a long ways in setting up your blood sugar for the rest of the day. So your breakfast matters. So if we're having really carby, sweet cereal, orange juice, that kind of stuff, you're actually setting up the rest of your day to not be as good. And so moving away from sweet breakfasts and moving into savory breakfasts, which typically means we're moving away from high sugar, high refined carbohydrate into a more balanced protein, fats, carbs type of stuff. Um, so there is this cool thing, and I just saw these recently. There's two companies right now that are doing continuous glucose monitors. Have you looked at any of this?
I've done one myself, but yes.
Which one did you do?
I did. Oh crap.
Was it like NutriSense or
I did an actual like. These are the ones that you get when you have
Dexcom?
diabetes. No, God, Trev, you're gonna make me. I can't remember, but yes, I have done one.
Well,
So
there's two companies right now that have recently come out with this. One is I believe called Stelo, Stelo, and then there's another one by another that's very
okay,
similar, which the prices come way down. And so now you can get CGMs for about $50 for 2 weeks, $100 for a month. And so, like, if you're interested in this kind of stuff and like, hey, what are the foods that I'm doing, or what are the foods that I'm eating? What do they do to my blood sugar? I think a CGM is a really, really good tool to be able to see, because foods, like, people react to foods differently. And so we could eat the same thing in the same amount, but I may have a different glucose response than Ashley will, just based on our physiology, right? Gut microbiome, all of these things. And so
yeah,
CGMs can be a really good way for you to figure out like what foods should I be eating on a regular basis, because we want our blood sugar to have relatively small ups and downs throughout the day, right? But if we're having these big peaks, we're going to have big valleys, and that can contribute to wanting to take a nap at 2 in the afternoon, or like just not having consistent energy throughout the day, and all these other things.
it will bring. So my biggest awareness is I will get so busy I don't eat or I forget to eat, and then I'm not hungry, and I will tank my blood sugar so much that my thing would beef at me to tell me to eat.
So,
it's it really is interesting when you realize you're not doing it. So now like I said, I make sure that I have a piece of fruit with my breakfast because I know if I don't have it, I will lose energy in the middle of the session. I know I need those carbohydrates to balance that out. Also, I've been trying to make sure I hit my fiber goal, so fruit makes those things easier.
so it's interesting as a way to just give you feedback on what you're doing. I think and it used to be a little bit more cost prohibitive, or you had to go through a medical provider or that kind of thing to get this kind of stuff. But all of it syncs right to your smartphone, and it's literally something you wear on the back of your arm.
Mhm.
I have one client that's going to be doing it now for a kind of 4 week period, so they can have some idea on how their foods are affecting their body. But this stuff used to be like $200 or $300, but now it's gotten down to like essentially $50 for 2 weeks or less if you're kind of doing a longer package. So if someone is interested in this kind of stuff, like things are out there. I'm just trying to think of what the other one is. I'm just going to type in Stello and Google
Oh,
will pop
I
it up.
did. So you asked, I did the Libre 3, which is actually one of the ones get from a doctor. One of my clients is diabetic, and she had an extra one, and she let me try it out. That's why I did it.
Oh, sweet.
But there are other ways you can do it, but it is everything that we do and we recommend is really just an educational process for you to kind of see what's working for you, what feels good. Do you need to make these changes? I was having huge energy tanks. So I knew that I was having an issue and I was starting to see it because I was logging my food and seeing how I was responding, but not necessarily that. And I realized I was just really low in carbs and it was making a big difference. I upped my carbs. I feel better. It's kind of crazy how our body responds when you do better things for yourself.
Lingo is the other one. So
Okay.
Stello or Lingo. One's by Abbott, the other one's by Dexcom. But I think one only works with iOS. They don't work with Android. Um, but yeah, they're kind of cool.
Okay.
We're starting to see the cost of this stuff come down, which makes it more accessible to just everyday people. And we're removing barriers of gatekeepers.
Yeah.
So, kind of cool. So, if you want to check that
Agreed.
out, that'd be a good way to do it. So,
All right,
hopefully, you guys
guys.
got a little
So
insight today, right?
boost your
Into some
breakfast.
breakfasts.
And if you guys are interested, and you guys could do these, and if you wanted to reach out to us and like help you interpret the data and like see what things are doing, we are more than happy to chat with you guys about that as well. If you have any questions, let us know.
Cool. See you later.
Bye.